Picture this. You're finally standing on a beach in Thailand, the water is crystal clear, you can feel the sun, but then a little thought creeps into your head. How much is this costing me?
That little thought, it can be a loud one, can't it?
Hello and welcome back to Let's Talk Real English. I'm Lara.
And I'm Eric. We're so glad you could join us today. This is the podcast for intermediate English learners who want to hear natural, everyday conversation.
And today we are talking about a huge topic. I mean, it's something I think about all the time. The question is, should you prioritize travel over saving money?
It's the ultimate battle, isn't it? The dream vacation versus the responsible future. Experience versus security. It's a tough one.
It really is. So let's get into it. Eric, I have to be honest. I think I'm on team travel.
Okay, I'm not surprised. Go on, make your case. Convince me.
Well, for me, it's about the memories, you know? Money, you can always make more money, but you can't get back your time, your youth, your energy to go backpacking through Europe or exploring a rainforest. Those experiences, they change you.
They do. I agree with that. There's a certain kind of education you only get from traveling.
Exactly. It's not just about seeing cool buildings, it's about learning to navigate a new city, trying to speak a language you barely know, eating food you can't even name. It builds confidence. It makes you more adaptable.
Right. It pushes you out of your comfort zone. You learn to rely on yourself in a way that you just don't when you're at home in your routine.
Totally. And the people you meet, the stories you hear, you realize the world is so much bigger than your hometown. That perspective, I think that's priceless. You can't buy that.
Priceless is a good word for it. It's an investment in yourself, in a way, an investment in your character.
Absolutely. It's like you're actively building a more interesting, well-rounded version of yourself. Every trip adds a new layer, a new skill. You might learn how to haggle in a market in Marrakesh, how to navigate the Tokyo subway system, or how to ask for directions in broken Spanish. These aren't just vacation skills, they're life skills. They build confidence and resilience in a way that staying in your comfort zone never can. You learn to trust your instincts.
Okay, you're making a very compelling argument. But let me play devil's advocate here for a minute.
I knew this was coming. Go on.
Those priceless memories are wonderful, but they don't fix your car when it breaks down. They don't pay for a doctor's visit if you get sick. They don't help you put a down payment on a house.
Oof, okay. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, there's a certain kind of freedom that comes from having savings, a safety net, the freedom from financial stress, not having to worry every single time an unexpected bill comes in. That's a different kind of priceless, you know?
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I've definitely been in that situation where I've come back from a trip, my bank account is empty, and then my laptop dies, and it's just pure panic.
Exactly. And that panic can erase some of the good feelings from the trip. It adds a layer of stress to your life that's really hard to deal with. And we're not even talking about big long-term goals.
Like what? Retirement?
Well, yeah, eventually, but even just financial independence, having options. The option to leave a job you don't like, or to start a small business, or to handle a family emergency. Money in the bank gives you choices. Travel is great, but choices are power.
That's a really good point. It's not just about hoarding money for the sake of it. It's about what that money allows you to do in your everyday life, not just on vacation.
For sure. So while you're out there being adaptable and confident in a foreign country, you might be feeling really fragile and stressed back at home because you have no financial cushion. It's a trade-off.
Okay, so it sounds like we have a classic dilemma. On one hand, life-changing experiences. On the other, stability and peace of mind. So what do we do? Does it have to be all or nothing?
I don't think so. I think that's the key. Maybe the question isn't travel or save. Maybe it should be how can we travel and save?
Finding the balance, yes. So, how do we do that? Because it sounds nice, but in practice, it can be hard.
Well, one way is to just redefine what travel means. It doesn't have to be a 2 week, 5-star resort vacation.
Right. Budget travel, that's a whole world in itself. Staying in hostels instead of hotels, for example. I've met some of the most amazing people in hostel common rooms.
Totally. Or cooking some of your own meals instead of eating out for every single one. You go to a local market, you try to figure out the local ingredients. That's a cultural experience right there, and it saves you so much money.
Oh, for sure. And traveling in the off season, like going to Europe in October instead of July, it's cheaper, it's less crowded. It's a completely different and honestly sometimes better experience.
That's a great tip. And what about on the saving side? The key, I think, is to be intentional, not just hoping you'll have money left over at the end of the month.
You mean making a budget?
Yeah, the B word. Nobody likes it, but it works. You have to treat saving like it's a bill you have to pay. The first bill you pay each month is to your future self. And maybe you have two savings accounts.
Ooh, I like that. So one is your serious don't touch this emergency fund.
Right, your broken car fund. And the other one is your Get Me to Spain fund. And you put a little bit into both every paycheck. Even if it's just a small amount, it adds up. And you can do it automatically so you don't even have to think about it.
That makes it so much more manageable. So you're not choosing between fun and responsibility. You're doing both just a little bit at a time. It's about being proactive instead of reactive.
There you go. And it also forces you to prioritize. Maybe you realize you'd rather take an amazing trip once every 2 years than spend money on, I don't know, buying coffee every day or ordering takeout 3 times a week.
Yeah, when you see that $5 coffee as like a tiny piece of a plane ticket, it changes your perspective.
I think something else to consider is your stage of life. The answer to this question might be different for a 20-year-old than a 40-year-old.
That's so true. When you're in your 20s, you might have fewer responsibilities, no mortgage, no kids. It's kind of the perfect time to do that 6-month backpacking trip. You have the time and energy even if you don't have a lot of money.
Exactly, and it's almost expected. Later on, when you have a family, maybe travel looks different. It might be shorter trips, closer to home. And saving for your kids' education or for a bigger house becomes a much bigger priority.
Yeah, your priorities just, they shift, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you have to stop traveling, but the way you do it and how you balance it with saving, it evolves.
It really comes down to personal values, doesn't it? There's no one size fits all answer. Some people genuinely value security and stability above all else. And for them, a big savings account brings more happiness than any trip.
And that's perfectly valid. While for other people, like me, I guess, the idea of not exploring the world feels like not really living, and that's also valid. The goal is to figure out what works for you and then build a plan around that, not just drift.
Don't just drift. I like that. Be the captain of your own financial and travel ship.
You know, there's actually something else we haven't really touched on yet, and I think it's worth talking about. The actual mental health side of travel. Like, beyond just the fun and the adventure, there's real evidence that getting away, breaking out of your routine, it genuinely does something good for your brain.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about how you feel on the very first morning of a trip. Even if you're jet lagged, there's this sense of everything being new. Your brain is firing in ways it just doesn't when you're on autopilot at home, driving the same roads, eating at the same places, talking to the same people. It's genuinely stimulating in a way that everyday life can struggle to be.
Yes, exactly that. That feeling of being switched on, like you're actually alive and paying attention to the world. It's something. But there's also a flip side to all of this that I think we have to talk about. Social media. Because travel and social media are so intertwined now and not always in a healthy way. Like, I feel like it's changed people's relationship with travel in a pretty fundamental way.
Oh, the FOMO thing. Fear of missing out. Yeah, You're scrolling through Instagram and everyone seems to be in Bali or on a rooftop somewhere in Rome or doing a road trip across Iceland. And you're sitting on your couch and suddenly your perfectly good Saturday feels like completely inadequate. That feeling is real and it's powerful.
Exactly. And I think it creates this distorted pressure to travel, where it's not even really about the experience anymore. It's about the photo, the proof that you were there. People are genuinely choosing destinations based on what looks good in a photo, not based on what would actually make them happy. And that's a bit worrying, isn't it?
It really is. And that kind of travel can be incredibly expensive, right? Because you end up chasing an aesthetic rather than an experience. You're going to the most photographed spots, which are usually also the most crowded and the most overpriced.
Right, and you haven't even seen anything real yet. You've just been standing in a queue.
Exactly. You're spending a fortune to stand in a long queue for a photo that 10 million other people have already taken. It defeats the purpose.
It does, and it can make people feel like they're failing somehow if they can't afford to travel that way. Like if you're not doing the luxury resort version or the stunning villa, your trip doesn't count, which is so wrong, so completely wrong. Some of the best travel experiences are the ones that look totally unremarkable on a phone screen.
So true. And I think that's where being really honest with yourself about your motivations actually matters a lot. Are you going somewhere because you genuinely want to experience it or because you want the content? And look, there's nothing wrong with sharing your travels online. I do it too. But if the content is the whole point, you might come back feeling a little hollow, like you were performing a trip rather than living one.
I remember I took this trip to Southeast Asia after college. I had like no money. I saved for a year working at a coffee shop. I stayed in the cheapest places, ate street food for every meal, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. It taught me so much. I came back broke, but rich in other ways.
I totally get that. And for me, I remember a few years ago when my furnace broke in the middle of winter. It was a huge, unexpected expense. And being able to just pay for it without going into debt or panicking, that feeling of security was incredible. It was a different kind of life experience, but it was just as valuable to me in that moment.
See, it's all about balance, the adventure and the security. They can coexist.
So, as we wrap up, I think the final verdict is there is no final verdict.
That's not a very satisfying conclusion, Eric, but you're right. It's not a simple yes or no.
The answer is personal. It's about knowing yourself, knowing your goals, and being smart. You can prioritize travel without being reckless, and you can prioritize saving without feeling like you're missing out on life.
It's about making conscious choices. Think about what kind of life you want 5, 10 years from now. Do you want a life full of passport stamps and incredible stories? Do you want a life with a comfortable home and financial freedom? Or can you find a way to build a life that has a little bit of both?
Well said. And for our listeners, we'd love to know what you think. Are you team travel or team save? Or are you, like us, trying to be on team balance?
Yeah, let us know. You can find us on all the usual social media channels. Just search for Let's Talk Real English. We really do love hearing from you.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Keep practicing, keep exploring, and we'll talk to you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone. And remember, life is short, so spend it wisely. And maybe book that trip while you're not it.